Welcome to Buzz Around the Globe. US President Joe Biden's wartime trip to Israel and Jordan faltered before it got off the ground. The Amman leg was cancelled following a strike on a Gaza hospital that killed hundreds of people. The trip was always set to be the riskiest of Biden's presidency, as he tried to juggle support for Israel after the October 7th Hamas attacks, with efforts to prevent a humanitarian disaster in Gaza and to avert a wider war. But his regional balancing act came undone on the eve of his visit with news of the hospital explosion, for which Hamas blamed Israeli strikes, while Israel said it was caused by a rocket misfired by militants in Gaza. As Biden climbed the steps of Air Force One, Jordan announced that a planned four-way summit with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, Jordanian King Abdullah II, and Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was off. Jordan said it would be held when the decision to stop the war and put an end to these massacres has been taken. Biden later said he was outraged by the explosion at the hospital and had told his national security team to get more information on what had happened. White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby, however, told reporters aboard the presidential plane, said that the Israelis feel very strongly this was not caused by them. He added that it was a mutual decision to cancel the Jordan trip after Abbas said he wanted to return home for 3 days of mourning, and that Biden would speak to him and Sisi by phone on the plane home. Yet Biden is entering an even more volatile situation than before, with the hospital strike sparking anger across the region. Furious protesters tried to storm the Israeli embassy in Amman, where Biden was due to meet the other leaders, while in Tehran, hundreds rallied outside the French and British embassies. Lebanon's Iran-backed Hezbollah called for a day of rage over the strike to coincide with Biden's arrival, fueling fears of the very escalation by Tehran and its allies that Biden's visit is supposed to warn against. The White House said Biden wanted to continue to stand in solidarity with Israel after Hamas burst through its heavily fortified Gaza border, shooting, stabbing, and burning to death more than 1,400 people, most of them civilians. Biden would hold talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin and his war cabinet, as well as meeting the families of some of those killed and missing in the attacks, it said. Kirby insisted, however, that Biden would ask Netanyahu tough questions about his plans for the war. He added that he was optimistic that aid would start to get through to stricken Gaza. The US president deliberated carefully before accepting the invitation to visit from right-winger Netanyahu, who has ordered preparations for what is expected to be a bloody ground offensive against Hamas in Gaza. There was always a risk that by coming to Israel, Biden would find himself too closely associated with the Israeli bombardment of Gaza, which has leveled huge swaths and killed more than 3,000 people, and the siege of the enclave. Anger over the hospital strike could meanwhile undermine the wider purpose of Biden's visit, as he tries to prevent the Israel-Hamas war engulfing the wider Middle East. Biden has warned Iran and Hezbollah not to get involved and has dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the eastern Mediterranean to deter them. US has maintained that there were no plans to put US boots on the ground, but added that the American military assets were in place to demonstrate a sincere capability of protecting and defending US national security interests. Do tell us what you think about this video in comment section, and for more news updates, subscribe to India Today.